Tonight, right now on WHAS11 News at 5 o'clock, we have new information for you on a breaking story today. 2 men found shot dead in an Okolona apartment. Police searching for suspects as neighbors grapple with the extreme violence. Less than 48 hours and away now from a potential government shutdown. Protesters gathering outside the federal courthouse in downtown Louisville, calling on Congress to reverse federal cuts to Medicaid and SNAP benefits. And mold in a Fairdale apartment complex forces some to move out. Today, Codes and Regulations turns out to search for mold in the complex. What they discovered? We have a new update. And then the latest on the deadly mass shooting at a Michigan church over the weekend. The shooter killed in a shootout with police after the church is set on fire. His military connection coming up right here tonight at 5. First here tonight, 2 men found shot dead in an Okolona apartment complex, and police are searching for who killed them. Tonight is our top story at 5. Hello, everybody. Good to be with you on this Monday. I'm Doug Proffitt. Connie is off tonight. Louisville Metro Police say around 10 this morning, police responded to a shots fired call on Napa Valley Drive. That's in the Okolona neighborhood of the South End. Police say witnesses told them that they saw several suspects leaving the scene on foot. WHAS 11's Alexandra Goldberg was at the scene. She is here right now with more details on what happened. Alexandra?
Doug, right. The scene was incredibly emotional. I saw over a dozen family members and neighbors standing around the police tape crying and comforting one another. And at this point, no one is in custody. So the community is still grappling with the question, who did it? A crowd of emotional family members and neighbors gathered on Napa Valley Drive, where Louisville Metro Police say 2 young men were shot dead in an Okolona apartment.
They are young people, but that does not necessarily indicate that they are juvenile.
LMPD spokesperson John Bradley says police responded to a shots fired call at 10:15 Monday morning. Police say witnesses saw multiple suspects leaving on foot.
Crowds of boys in masks, none of us can identify them. And we're all scared to even try, because what if they try to come to us and try to harm us?
Christina Short lives nearby, a resident of this apartment complex since 2014. She describes what she saw moments after shots were fired.
Came running out. Yeah, the kids next door, like, scared. The neighbors, my neighbor, my elderly neighbor, like, they shouldn't have to worry about that. Now they can't even go back in their home. They're scared to go home.
Short says this tragedy is deeply affecting her community.
But this ain't home no more. It's not. In Napa Valley, this court, Napa Valley, we are family. None of this happens here.
Here, detectives investigating the scene, including LMPD's crime scene unit.
It's a tragedy. I mean, and as a parent and as a human being, I mean, I can't imagine the horrific sense of grief and loss that somebody's going through learning that this happened.
Police say they're looking for surveillance video in the investigation, pleading, if you saw anything, tell police. LMPD's homicide unit is investigating, and anyone with information is asked to call the anonymous tip line at 574-LMPD. You can also use the online portal. In studio, Alexandra Goldberg, WHAS 11 on your side. Doug.
Alexandra, thank you very much. Now the latest to the deadly shooting at a Michigan church. This weekend, a man crashed his car right through the front doors of a Michigan Mormon temple, opening fire with an assault rifle and setting the church on fire. Police say at least 4 people are dead tonight and at least 8 others are hurt. The gunman, identified as Thomas Jacob Sanford, died in a shootout with police. We're going to have a lot more on this still developing story today out of Michigan coming up here at 5:30. Here in Louisville, days after a young girl was inappropriately touched near a Louisville private school, this man was arrested today. This is 27-year-old Jacob Burnett. He is charged with first-degree sexual abuse. Police say on September 18th, a young girl was assaulted while waiting to be picked up from a Louisville private school. The child was actually able to capture the video of the man who inappropriately touched her before she captured him running away from the scene. According to Metro Police, Burnett's arrest came after a tip from someone in the community. Sergeant Matt Sanders with LMPD saying in a statement, quote, "We want to thank the individual who came forward with the tip that led to this arrest. Your courage and commitment to protecting our community made a difference." Well, we kick off another fall week here in Kentuckiana with very warm weather. We sort of got a little hot there today, and Chief Meteorologist Mallory Snell is joining me here at 5 to look ahead to the week. So, is this going to last all weekend long, Mallory? Or are you bringing any chances of rain? I know there's a lot of storms out there in the ocean swirling around.
It's looking to stay very dry and pretty warm as well as we round out September and head into October. And you can tell it's still warm because there are some bugs flying on this camera here, our Midway University cam overlooking Hurstbourne. A little bit of a breeze, part of our Shriners Children's Camera Network. Temperatures are running about 10 degrees above normal in the mid to upper 80s all across Kentuckiana. We're at 87 at the Louisville International Airport, 85 at Bowman Field and down in E-Town, 87 in Bardstown, 88 up in Madison. One good thing is our dew point remains in check. We do have dew points in the 50s, so humidity not too bad, and that's keeping those mornings and evenings very pleasant. A light breeze between about 5 to 15 miles per hour, and we are looking at dry skies here on the satellite and radar. As we continue onward through this evening, expect temperatures in the 80s through about sunset. We'll fall into the 70s and eventually the 60s by early tomorrow morning. So it'll be another nice start tomorrow, but once again, lots of sunshine on tap with those high temperatures climbing into the mid 80s by the afternoon. We'll take a look at our 7-day forecast that's coming up in just a bit. Doug.
Mallory, thanks so much. Today, a high-stakes meeting at the White House as the clock is ticking down to a possible government shutdown, which is now less than 48 hours away. For the first time ever, President Donald Trump meeting with Democrats, the top 4 congressional leaders, but neither side indicating that they're willing to budge. At the center of the major issue, of course, is health care. Democrats want Republicans to roll back their cuts made earlier this year to programs like Medicaid, but Republicans are defending the cuts, saying this.
Our message and what we want out of this is very simple. The president wants to keep the government open. He wants to keep the government funded. There is zero good reason for Democrats to vote against this clean, continuing resolution.
Republicans control every branch of government, but they do need some Democrats in order to pass this bill. Meantime, happening today right here in Louisville, protesters gathered outside Senator Mitch McConnell's West Broadway office outside the federal courthouse downtown, calling on Congress to reverse those federal cuts to Medicaid and SNAP benefits. WHAS11's Isaiah Kim Martinez and photojournalist Gabby DeGeorge are talking to people who say they are personally impacted.
Mitch McConnell's office is right around the corner.
You're going to senators' offices, because even though the bill has passed, there's still time for corrections.
In front of Louisville's federal courthouse, a group of Kentucky protesters are holding up this black box representing a casket. Attached to it are signs with the number of Kentuckians they fear will soon lose access to safety net programs like Medicaid and SNAP because of the passage of President Trump's big domestic policy bill.
And it's killing us. It's literally killing us. And that's what we're here to say.
Colleen Powell came downtown from her home off Poplar Level Road.
Sometimes I think as I'm getting older, I'm 75, I think I can't do all those big things, but I can hold a sign and walk.
Her sister Sheila worries she will lose benefits.
This could be me. I'm on Medicare, Medicaid.
And one of the groups leading the charge throughout states in the South is called the Poor People's Campaign. You can actually see some of the speakers are clergy members right in front of the federal courthouse. And their big goal here today is to deliver this letter signed September 29th to Senator Mitch McConnell's Louisville office. I reached out to Senator McConnell's office for comment on the crowd of at least 50 that gathered off Broadway. In a statement, a spokesperson said the bill reforms Medicaid so that it no longer includes beneficiaries the program was not designed for. McConnell's office says it's an effort to ensure the longevity of the safety net for which Medicaid was intended. They also pointed to the $50 billion Republicans set aside in the bill to help rural hospitals adapt to the changes. What are your concerns, sir?
My concern is about it all with the housing and budget cuts that we're having right now.
Lamont Anthony Sr. lives in the Russell neighborhood.
It's just boiling down to, you know, like, will this be around for the next 10 or 20 years for my kids and grandkids to accumulate on, and I don't see it happening.
These groups are calling for Congress to roll back provisions in the Big Beautiful Bill, and all eyes will be on next year's midterm elections to see whether their push holds any weight. Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS 11 on your side.
Meantime, the Department of Education is preparing for the possible government shutdown. It says nearly 1,500 of its 1,700 employees would be furloughed if lawmakers fail to pass a spending bill by late Tuesday. Again, that deadline. That includes most of the staff at the Office of Federal Student Aid. Some essential employees would stay on to keep loans and grants moving. The agency, however, would stop issuing new grants and reviewing civil rights complaints. If the shutdown lasts longer than a week, the department says it would have to bring back some workers to work on a partial or even a rotating basis. Now to a new update on the problems at a Fairdale apartment complex. Mold's been growing around the vents and electrical outlets we found at the crossing at South Park, causing some to move out over the issue. Other residents who continue living there say only Band-Aid solutions have been used so far and that the mold keeps on growing back. Well, after a sweeping inspection today, the Department of Codes and Regulations considers the complex clear of mold. Our Ian Hardwick went back to the complex today. He's been following the story. You've been looking into this really for the past month or so. How was this resolved today? Are you getting a clear picture or is it still up in the air?
There's still some testing that needs to be done to give this final all thumbs up that's going on here. Codes and Regulations plus the health department has pointed to a faulty air conditioning system that's been causing high humidity levels. Now that system is nearly fixed, but these residents, their concerns are still out there.
Larissa Hines peeled back her brand new floorboards. She believed the black specks underneath were old mold, but now Codes and Regulations has cleared the complex. It's part of the department's sweeping inspection of the crossing at South Park Apartments after a litany of tenant complaints about recurring mold. However, last Thursday in a letter dated September 25th, an inspector said mold found throughout Hines' unit.
I love it here. I love my apartment, and it's like, I just want to be able to live in my apartment.
Well, I have the pictures and everything.
Public documents show residents reported mold to the city in July. The Marion Group owns the apartments. It has not tested for airborne mold. Hines paid for her own test, which showed abnormal levels. The Louisville-based development group tells us it will pay for its own tests, promising a resolution to the mold by the end of the month. Janasia Philpott believes the mold complicates her baby boy's breathing.
The man can't breathe.
Doctors released him from his breathing tube last Friday. Philpott called the hospital with renewed concern. They're waiting on test results, seeing if mold plays a part.
Yeah, I went to my sister's house on Friday, because I didn't want to bring him back home so sudden, knowing that the problem is coming from the home. He came home yesterday, and his breathing's already messing back up.
The hospital told her to take her son back in. Philpott's photos show mold had been growing up her fridge, and she worries it will only grow back.
Codes and Regulations tells us that contractors were working on site today fixing the HVAC system that may have caused those previous mold issues.
So what explains the discrepancy? You brought it up in your story, the letter just last Thursday, just a few days ago, where they clearly said they found the mold, and now you're getting an all clear today, 4 days later. You've been talking to the residents. Did something miraculously happen in the last 4 days?
Nobody went inside of Miss Hines' unit over the weekend or anything like that. However, some final testing needs to be done on what those black specks were underneath the floorboards to fully make that determination on whether or not it was mold. So like I said at the top, we have that all clear thumbs up that we're still waiting on, and that all depends on the testing, which should be done maybe within the next couple of days.
Going to be interesting to find the final conclusion to this.
Absolutely. I mean, we've covered it for the past month, so I'm excited to see it.
That's right. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Ian. Also happening today in Simpsonville, Kentucky, out in Shelby County. Large number of crews were on site for this historical dig to locate the graves of lost Civil War infantry. The 5th Infantry was an all-black battalion ambushed and massacred in 1865 here in Simpsonville. They were a group of freed slaves turned Union infantry killed by Confederates. 22 soldiers died in Simpsonville. Their remains have never been found. Now, a University of Kentucky archaeologist, they're on the scene today using a drone to locate what could be their burial site. But after hours of digging massive trenches today, the excavation team left heartbroken after waiting months to dig.
There's no doubt the massacre did take place. There's no doubt about that. But to find the lost soldiers, well, give them the proper burial they deserve.
The search coming up for you tonight at 6. We can tell you the research team will continue its efforts to locate the possible graves, but for now the digging operations have been on hold for a bit with no return in sight. Again, the latest from UK coming up tonight at 6. Straight ahead, 2 major storms could soon impact the east coast of the United States. Now preparations are underway as Humberto and Imelda close in.
And here's a check of today's Kentucky